Alaskan Corla, I move that this House has confidence in the government. I'm conscious that this motion was triggered by a motion of no confidence from the Labour Party related to the housing shortage. I believe the housing crisis cuts so deeply because it offends our sense of fairness, our fundamental belief in what government is for and what the state should do. Housing is a basic need and a human right. Solving the housing crisis is therefore one of the greatest political and practical challenges of our time. My only criticism of proceedings in this House is that too often it allows the critics of government to show passion and indignation without presenting new ideas, let alone having them tested. It's political theatre, performative anger, performance art.
On your watch, we have gone from housing crisis to housing emergency to housing disaster. So how any member of government could look anybody in the eye and say that your housing policies are working is beyond me. Nero fiddles while Rome burns. How can anybody have confidence in a Taoiseach that cannot answer the straightforward question, where are people meant to go?
You've spent more time lambasting Labour than you have setting out what you say government has achieved on housing. Your policy has failed, and that's why we in Labour have tabled a motion of no confidence. You have presided over a chronic failure in housing policy, and it's for that reason that we have no confidence in your government, and we urge all colleagues in this House to support us in voting against the government today.
I have no confidence in the Minister for Housing. Your targets are too low. They're not being met. Darragh O'Brien is the Minister for Homelessness, and shame on him. We are stuck in a circle, a vicious cycle, and the only way to break that cycle is for this motion to pass, this government to fall, and a government of change to be elected to drive a radical change in housing policy to meet people's housing needs.
There's no lack of compassion on this side of the House, and you tried to paint it as such. And I think that's shameful, and I think that's disgraceful. But we will not be diverted from the job that we have to do, because we have a responsibility as the elected government of this country to make real strides in housing.
The last week has been a week of shame, embarrassment for this House. Decent politics and good governance brought into disrepute. And the antics of this government, which are grubby little side deals with the cheap dates in the so-called independent ranks, will live, quite frankly, in infamy.
Keeping or extending the ban isn't necessarily going to solve this crisis into the future. It's like making sweets free for children. It's fine for a little while, but ultimately detrimental to the greater need.
No one has a monopoly on the desire to house our people.
So we shouldn't try to debase or reduce this debate to one about who cares more about people. That doesn't serve anybody. That is the worst of Punch and Judy politics. You've probably objected to more homes than any other member of Dáil Eireann. So you probably objected to more. I've never objected.
Deputy O'Riordan. Deputy O'Riordan.
You're not a moonshore anymore. You don't need to wag your finger at me there. Thanks. Don't wag your finger at me. Don't wag your finger at me, and stop objecting to homes in your constituency.
This government has a positive agenda. We will deliver, and we will not bow to the incessant negativity and bitterness that we hear from the opposition.
Fine Gael represent a cosseted, privileged class, and you guys prove me right every single time.
Every day we hear the same attempts to spin failure into success. Somehow weakness becomes tenacity, delay becomes urgency, defeat becomes victory. We saw it again yesterday, the usual gaslighting. Does anyone in government actually know how a safety net works? It's supposed to be in place before you fall.
And I don't know if anyone on the government benches has ever been evicted. It is horrible, absolutely horrible, to have to hand your keys back to someone else, to walk away from the place where you thought you might be able to build your family. It is awful. To have that, you talk about safety nets, just having a clue, to have that safety net taken from you, your safe, secure, stable place to live, the place for your children to call home, to have that taken off you, it is soul destroying. And I say to people who are going to be evicted, and people are going to be evicted in the next month, the shame is not theirs, the shame is yours.
It is absolutely immoral. We are going to evict you in order to save you. That's the government's narrative. It's actually going to be better for you if we allow you to be evicted into homelessness.
I think Voltaire had it right. Le mieux est l'ennemi du bien. Perfect is the enemy of good. We need good housing for everyone.
A landlord's Dáil will vote confidence in a landlord's government. Do not leave your home if you have nowhere to go. Do not make yourself homeless.
We are still facing very real challenges, but when we look back on the war, on the upheaval in Ukraine, in Afghanistan and elsewhere, as a country, I believe we'll be able to say that we met our obligations and we lived our values.
Do the right thing. Vote to extend the eviction ban. I have no confidence in Darragh O'Brien. The public have no confidence in Darragh O'Brien. And why would they? Because he is the Minister for Homelessness. I will be voting no confidence in this government.
We're having this debate today because the Labour Party decided that it needed to do something to get attention. It has adopted a strategy of trying to match others for angry rhetoric and empty promises. With confidence in our record and our agenda for the remainder of our term, I am happy to support the motion that Dáil Eireann has confidence in this government.
The madness, the sheer, unadulterated, feckin madness of ending this eviction ban. Evict this government, not the renters.
Tá, 86, Neil, 67. So tá rún muoine san rialtas rite.